want you to skip the first paragraph. When you go to the second one, I'm going to help you fill in the answers real quick. Okay, so my body is self-healing and self-regulating. It just needs no interference. Then we're gonna read the first paragraph. You're gonna fill in that little blank answer, and then when you're ready, I want you to sign in date as well. Okay? So my name is Dr. Ashley Campbell. I am making healthier choices every day and every way. I'm getting better and better. I take 100% responsibility for my life, my health, and therefore I make the necessary improvements to live my ideal life. And today, right now, right here, I am here because you all came for a reason, to learn or to help yourself or to help somebody you love. So I want you to write that down. Like, what is your purpose of why you're here for this class? And what is something that you want to take away or learn from it? So take a minute, write it down, sign it, date it, and then we will begin.
Self-healing and self-regulating. It just needs no interference. Melody, can you press off your answer key? Let's take off like.
Yeah, because you can always press it on.
Anybody want to share a reason why they're here today?
Hello.
Hi.
I want to learn more about health, making healthy decisions. You've already helped me with a lot so much, and I brought some people from my team to also learn about healthy things.
Cool. And yeah, and we can customize the talk. So if you guys have some questions, you can ask them. Better habits.
I really want to learn how to get better eating, learn how to eat better. Like, I'm really addicted to like soda, and like all that sugary stuff, and I don't know how to get rid of it. So like,
Well, I can give you a tool
Yeah.
at the end to help with that. I used to drink a pile of soda. My sister made fun of me. But now I can drink like a half can a day, and I'm toast. So that's just too much.
that's where I want to be.
Cool.
It doesn't taste good to me anymore. I used to drink it all the time. It's like, got off of it. It's hard.
So we have like an innate intelligence in our bodies that's running. So we're self-healing, self-regulating, and so it's going to start to tell you what it likes and doesn't like. But there's some things that Dr. Anthony talked about on how that's been hijacked and we've run away from what our body needs.
Alright, so I'm going to start us off, and I'm really just going to talk about what the fork. But really, like, what is the state of the world we live in today? And so if we turn to the next page, on page 2, we're going to look at all these stats about what's going on. So a lot of people, every day, it says 61% of this study that they looked at had one or more GI symptoms in the past week, which is heartburn, reflux, abdominal pain, bloating, diarrhea, constipation. So this is affecting a lot of people, that their digestion system is not working, not functioning the way it should, and they're getting a lot of symptoms. Their body's telling them, giving them feedback what's going on, that they don't like it. And so if we look at other things too, when I was looking through the CDC, it was saying that 40% of children have at least one chronic health condition, which is pretty crazy. And
4 in 10 kids.
yeah, 4 in 10 kids. They're saying 60% of adults have at least one chronic condition, 40% have 2 or more. And they define a chronic condition as something that lasts for over a year or requires ongoing medical attention, or it limits daily activities. And so like that's our society, like, and that's our children that are being raised up, that are having issues already. When we look at puberty, more and more girls and boys are starting puberty earlier, which is telling us that the hormones are getting whacked up from, you know, our environment, gaining weight, the things that they're eating, or just not moving enough as well. And so the average age should be between 10 and 12, and there's girls as early as 8 that are starting their period. Wow. Which is just crazy. So we gotta also look at, like, you know, everything that we're bombarded with, right? We have our phones, we watch TV, we see advertisements. Companies are doing their job to try and get you to buy their stuff. They don't actually care about your health. They don't care about your well-being. They are trying to make money. And so, like, this first one, Got Milk. Who remembers the Got Milk campaign?
Yes.
Right? Like, tons of celebrities with the Got Milk mustache, and they told you, oh, you'll be stronger, you'll have stronger muscles, or you'll have stronger bones. Well, it was actually created by the government. And so, back in the day, I was researching it, back in 1949, they actually created a law that the dairy farmers, if they didn't, like, sell enough, the government would buy that milk from them.
They would buy the excess.
They would buy the excess. But what does that do for the dairy farmers? Does it incentivize them to make less, or to learn how to do something else with it? No. So they just kept making the same amount or more, and the government was stuck at the end of the day with the bill to buy it all. So they literally created the Got Milk campaign to convince people to buy more milk. And it increased sales by 80 to 90%. And when you actually look at these studies that they say, oh, you're going to be stronger, your bones are going to be stronger, like, it's actually not true. And you actually start looking into it. So it was just a way to make money.
I do enjoy a little milk in my coffee, but milk to make your bones stronger is unfortunately largely a lie. When you look at countries that drink milk, they're also the same countries that have osteoporosis.
Oh.
So milk is not.
It's not healthy for your bones the way it's advertised. Yeah. So
What about just straight up vitamin D tablets?
vitamin, well, there's lots of ways to add vitamin D to your diet, and supplementation is great. But like just milk in small amounts is okay, but milk gives a lot of people trouble. So it's this industry.
Lactose intolerance?
Yeah, a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's high sugar, high inflammatory, and like the actual makeup of specifically cow's milk is very different for our body versus like if a baby cow is drinking it. Like it's perfect for a baby cow, but it's not necessarily perfect for us because it wasn't actually perfect.
Makes baby cows bigger.
Yeah.
And humans too.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
On to the next page. So this is an interesting one. 50 years ago, the sugar industry quietly paid scientists to point blame at fat. So there was this industry, it's called the Sugar Research Foundation, and they started looking at all these studies, and what they found out was actually sugar, more and more of the studies were showing that it actually was linked with coronary heart disease. And the sugar industry was like, well, that can't be good. So they paid all these researchers to look at the studies and to take anything out that implemented sugar. And then they could whittle it down to say, oh, it's actually fat. Fat is linked to coronary heart disease. And so think about all the advertisements that we have. Oh, fat-free. Fat is bad. You know, all this stuff. Oh, like it's just like butter. Right? But it's actually not true. It's actually the sugar industry paying off a bunch of people saying that fat is the problem. Fat is the bad culprit, the evil person, and we shouldn't eat fat. So I'm not going to go through all of these on the next page. You can read through them all. But two that I'll highlight. One, Tropicana, a really sort of funny thing they did was telling you, oh, if you drink 3 glasses of orange juice a day, it'll help with heart disease and stroke. Actually not true.
That's a lot of sugar.
Yeah, that's a lot of sugar. And then Splenda was advertising that if you ate it, it would actually benefit like diabetes management. And it actually came out to be that it was actually the opposite. It was worsening diabetes, and actually links to health concerns and weight gain. So, again, they're trying to sell you a product. They don't necessarily care about your health. So, all right, take over to Mr. Darby.
Cool. Just taking my own notes to add some stuff later. Cool. Alright. So let's go. That's kind of the problem. And anytime we have a problem, there's a solution, and typically you have to look at something else. And so our body is designed to work in a certain way. And when we honor that design, the body works the way it's supposed to work. But a lot of people are eating for reasons outside of how we should actually be eating, and they're eating in ways that we're not supposed to eat in, and so it's like they have a screw and a piece of wood and they're trying to smash it with a hammer. Sure, you can get the job done, but it's not that pretty, and you're gonna kind of damage some other things along the way. And so if we eat for the reasons that we're supposed to eat, it's gonna be helpful. Can I have that, Brooke?
Yeah.
And so we eat for 3 reasons. It is the title at the top, so that one's easy. We eat for resources, we need energy, and then I also have in there connection. And so...
So those are the next 3 blanks. Resources, energy, and connection.
No, that was the old one. This is the new one.
Oh.
But, so our body is self-healing, self-regulating, so those are the first 2 ranks, okay? And then the next one is entropy. Has anyone heard that term before?
Yes.
Okay, so entropy is things lead to breakdown, okay? There's one exception to that in the world. And what is that exception?
Yes?
Life. Life leads to organization. And so that process is called syntropy. So the first blank is entropy, it leads to gradual decline and disorder. And then the next one is syntropy, leading to organization and structure. Okay? And so that involves intelligence. Okay? So you guys are all intelligent beings, and you guys have intelligence in your body. There's intelligence organizing the food you bring in to remake itself into your body. And you can do that in peace, or you can do that with healthy food. Your body will do both. Well, we want to choose the healthier option. All right, and so to rebuild that first blank, we need to rebuild our bodies all the time, because our bodies are under entropic forces. We're under breakdown all the time, okay? And so if we're continually breaking down, we need resources to build back up. And so that's why, one of the reasons why we need to eat, okay? Have you ever thought of why the next blank is essential? Why nutrients are considered essential nutrients? Does anyone know or have a guess on what makes a nutrient essential? So that's like a term in diet land. So like vitamin C is an essential nutrient. Why is that the case?
Prevents scurvy.
So it prevents disease, but our body can make all kinds of things, but it cannot make essential nutrients. So anything that is called an essential vitamin or essential
Amino
mineral,
acid.
our body needs that, or essential fatty acid. Essentially, we cannot remake this in any way, so we have to get it from the outside. Okay? And so that's why we want to eat a variety of food, so we can get all our essential nutrients. Okay? And those are the next 2 blanks. It cannot create them from other materials. They're required for healthy function. Okay? I love Einstein. And if you look at cellular things, there's lots of things going on. Even if that cell isn't doing much, it is moving. Right? And all movement requires what? Energy. Yeah, and so we need energy not at the macro level to move our bodies around, but at the microscopic level, we need like ATP to move the muscle fiber, to latch on to the next muscle fiber, and to pull it down. That every one of those reactions uses ATP. ATP is the energy kind of molecule in the body. So we're eating that, and then we get sugar and fat, and we turn that into energy. Okay? And so, does anyone know how many calories are in 1 pound of fat?
1,000?
3,500 calories.
Wow.
Yeah.
3,500.
Yeah. And so, does anybody have an extra pound of fat on their body?
Oh.
We all do, right? And so, your body has days and days of energy stored. Okay? I have a fun story I'll share in a little bit.
Just to compare, like an average diet, right, is about 1,200 calories in a day.
1,200 to 2,000 calories is a big range, but yeah.
That's how many calories you're supposed to be taking in a day. And so 1 pound of fat has over that.
Yeah. And so a lot of us, like, we end up eating this too much because it's pretty easy to overeat. But just know that your body, it can make do sometimes without.
So Doc, that's why calorie deficit is the best way to lose weight, right?
Sometimes. I'll get into specifics of that. Like, yes, appropriate, there's ways to do that, but there's also ways that can create problems.
Oh,
So if you create, well, I'll address that at the end.
okay.
Okay? Cool. Alright. And then lastly, food has been a source of connection. Okay? When we take the connection away from food, we get into overeating, we get into emotional eating, we get into stress eating. When we involve connection with other humans, we eat slower, we chew our food more. Overall, this is just much better on our digestive system and much better for our mental health. Okay? And it's really humans that are connecting over food since we've been created. So, like, if we just revert back to that, we tend to eat a little better. Okay? So social connection really promotes the rest and digest is the next blank. Okay? Rest and digest. Has anyone heard of fight or flight before?
Yes.
Alright? The opposite side of that is rest and digest. Okay? So fight or flight, deal with stress and survival, not digest food, not promote connection. Over here, we're going to be resting on digesting and healing. So anytime we're under stress and eating, that's automatically going to be challenging for our body. Okay? And so we want to do everything we can to get into the slow and rest and digest mode. Okay? Reasons to not eat, I'm just going to highlight a couple of these. Emotional eating. Alright? We program this in our society both negatively and positively. Oh, we had a great practice. Let's go to the ice cream shop. Oh, we did this. Let's have a glass of whiskey. Oh, let's celebrate with this. Oh, we had a bad day. Let's have a beer. So we do a lot of things with food that are connected to emotions, both good and bad. And that can program you to do things because we do conditioned behaviors. And so we want to just assess those. They're not all bad, but we don't want to necessarily program our kids that every time we do X, we get ice cream, and that's something we're doing almost every day. Because then we get to the point where adults are getting programmed to eat sweets or have alcohol in excess because it's tied to emotional cues. And so we just want to assess those, okay? Because we do a lot of things consuming calories for reasons that we don't actually need them, and emotions when they form. The next one is this habit and environmental cues. So just snacking and watching TV. If you watch TV all the time, you always snack. You end up always snacking when you watch TV, and it just promotes cycles. And so you just want to assess those things. Okay? And so dieting restriction is actually on here. Excessive restriction can actually create a yo-yo. Okay? And so you have to do this with purpose. Because it is like you do need a deficit, but if you just do it with the wrong mental mindset, it's really hard. Okay? Cool. Alright, so now, how does our body actually work? So we know why we eat calories. Now, how does our digestive engine? So I'm going to make a lot of mechanical analogies, kind of stick with me, but it's going to be pretty simple. Because this is like the best engine, really. We can give it all kinds of different fuels, and it can pump out energy. It's a lot more powerful than a lot of our engines out there, because you have to give it very specific things. But the same way, we have a lot of similarities to it as well, too. Okay? So what happens when we digest food? Alright, we have mechanical breakdown. We got chewing. We're going to start to emulsify and break down this food. The more we chew it, the more we break it down, the easier it is downstream. We used to spend over 2 hours a day chewing. The average person now spends less than 4 minutes chewing. Okay? And so this has led to a change in shape of our skulls, and it's led to CPAP skyrocketing. Because we don't have any development of muscles around our neck and throat and our tongue. And so all of this gets weak. And so if you look at young kids and their jaws, and actually snoring is happening in young kids now too. And if you look at younger kids, their jaws are getting more narrow because they're always on soft foods for such long periods of time. So actually with kids, you can introduce like normal food, just in smaller kind of bites, and they start to chew even as like our 20-month-old, like she actually just chews real food. Yeah, we have pouches and sort of stuff for quick things, but we also give her as much real food where she has to chew and develop her palate. as much as possible. Okay. And then there's chemical breakdown, and then we have to propel everything through the system, and then we have to choose what we want to absorb, and then we have to eliminate what we don't want. And this is a big problem for people too. Because say you're rushing this digestive process, and you're getting not chewing, and you're throwing this system in, and then it's just trying to absorb big chunks, but we absorb a chunk that we didn't want with a chunk we did want, and then our body attacks that, and then we get inflammation. Okay? And then we get autoimmune conditions, because sometimes when we attack that, and then say that thing is with something else that we like that our body makes, we learn to attack good things. Right? And so this is how a lot of the autoimmune conditions are actually created in the gut, because we get dysfunction in the gut, and then our body starts to get inflammatory reactions, and then we start to attack healthy tissue too. And so, one easy takeaway that we can all do is just slow down. Okay? Slow down and just chill out, and that just promotes our body to relax a little more. Okay? The digestion involves 10 separate organs, and pretty much like a lot of stuff in here is all digestive related. And our digestive system is an engine, and our engine's always on. Some are, but most of the time not. So the engines need to be started. Okay? And our digestive system does need to be started. Okay? And how we do that is if we start to cook our food or we're not preparing our food, our body starts to prepare to eat and absorb that food. Okay? And so if we're approaching a meal with the mindset that the food is coming versus I'm driving down the road, oh, I need a quick bite, I'm going to go into the kind of the gas station, I'm going to go through the drive-through, and your body's going to work, go mode, it's not, the engine isn't running. And then you just throw food in the system, and it's, you start to flood your engine with gas, and it's not ready to burn it. Okay? So engines need a warm-up. And so again, that social connection, that the appetizer, the salad, all that gives our body time to warm up. Okay? This allows our stomach to start to produce acid so that it can start to break down the incoming food. Okay? It also prepares our gut to release all the enzymes we need to break down that food as well too. Again, if we don't have that warm-up time, that doesn't happen. Okay? Engines obviously need fuel. Okay? Our engine can run on organic, natural, premium fuel, or it can run on Twinkies and hot dogs. It is your choice. So I have a fun story down here. So this guy holds the record for gaining and losing the most pounds. In his life, he gained and lost almost 3,000 pounds. At his peak weight, he was 1,100 pounds. Yeah, he is a record holder. Okay? He was never hungry a day in his life. Okay? He had an extreme emotional breakdown with food, and he did it for coping. He didn't really eat for hunger. His body obviously wasn't hungry, but he ate for emotional reasons. And he yo-yo dieted like crazy. He's a fun guy to look up. Yes, and he gained, and lost again. Okay? I had another guy that didn't quite make the cut, but he didn't eat food for over a year. He ate yeast, and then he had vitamins from the hospital. Basically, he would go to the hospital, they'd give him IVs and vitamins, and I think it's called nutritious yeast or something like that. And he lost over 300 pounds. He was this overweight guy. You can look that up, but he didn't have food for over a year. Cool. And so he was a big dude. Not as big as this dude.
What happened to him after
He started eating again and reintroduced food.
did he gain health?
No, he didn't talk about that in the story anyway. It happened in Scotland back in the 60s. Yeah, but I use that to talk about the body can break down a lot of calories and you don't necessarily need. It's not necessarily easy, and he did it with medical guidance, but the body is pretty adaptable. Okay? And that's what I have here. Our engine adapts. It's always adapting to the food that we're bringing in, and then also our expenditure out. Okay? And so, common warning lights. Okay, these are just a couple quick things. Who's had heartburn? Okay? So I've already talked about a lot of reasons why we get heartburn. The first one is not chewing and eating too fast. Because if you just shove food down there, your stomach has to do a lot of work. And then the muscle on the top, it can't stay closed for so long. So if the food's in here too long and that muscle eventually weakens, it opens, and then it sends acid up. Okay? And then we take antacids, but then we're not breaking down the food, and then we just shove this under this food further down the system, and then we deal with other problems. Alright? So that one's an interesting one. And then actually a lot of prescriptions give us that as well too. Okay? And then in the spine, the top bone, top 2 bones, and then in the middle of the spine, and then we have a really cool testimonial. We help heartburn patients all the time. It's pretty fun. Cool? Alright, and then I'll let you kind of read through the rest of these. But commonly we're doing these things to induce symptoms, and the body's telling us things. The symptom is a warning light. It's kind of communicating to us something's going on. So just kind of read through that. And then I think Digestion, Dr. Ashley's back.
Alright, so now we know about eating, like some of the things we can do with our environment to help slow down, chew, all that stuff. Now we're going to get a little bit more of like body chemistry and physiology and how it all works. Okay, so our digestion system is actually controlled by our nervous system. Okay, everything in our body is controlled by our brain. The tail of our brain is our spinal cord, and from there we are literally hardwired in. There's no Wi-Fi in our body. There's literally nerves telling every cell, tissue, and organ what to do, controlling the chemistry, controlling the hormones, telling all the organs, hey, this is how you digest your food. Okay, so you can do all the right things, eat all the right food, but if you are in a state of stress, because there's subluxation in your body, or from all the different things bombarding us, you're not going to digest your food as well as you can. Okay, so we were talking about, right, sympathetic, fight or flight, and rest, digest, growth. Right? That's the 2 sides of our nervous system. So we have sympathetic, fight or flight. Everybody knows that one. So imagine, we're all leaving and a mountain lion starts approaching us. See, that's a good time to be a little stressed. Right? I don't want to be digesting food then. I don't want to be eating. I want to be running. Right? But hopefully there won't be one when we go out. But at that point, right, we're all going to go out. We're going to be like, dinner. I want some yummy food. I'm having pitas tonight, guys. I'm so excited for it. I'm getting in the right mindset. I'm relaxed. My body's going to accept that one, right? So, first blank. We have everyday unavoidable stresses of life. We have physical stress, we have chemical stress, and we have emotional stress. When those stressors exceed our body's limit of matter, we're unable to adapt to them, and we get a spinal subluxation as the result. Okay? So when we talk about misalignments in the spine, that is called a subluxation. So I'm going to write that for you. It's a great word. I love it. Okay. So subluxation, it's distorting the nerve communication. When we break it down, it literally means less, light, or life. And ation, like positive, negative ion, is a state of being. So we have less life flowing through our body. Okay? My cheat sheet. But this can affect our digestion. That's the next point, right? It can affect our performance, our thinking. It can stop healing and cause downstream issues to the tissues and start causing disease within the body. With me so far?
Yes.
So, adjustments, chiropractic adjustments. Restore the body's communication. And that's what happens when you guys come in here and you get adjusted. We're restoring the communication between the brain and the rest of the body. And adjust literally means to move into a more desired position. Doesn't that sound nice? So they restore our body's naturally healing power. All of you within you have the power to heal and to function at a high performance, 100% potential. Okay? And so when we remove those subluxations within your body, it helps you digest your food. So, fun little story. We all see the x-ray. You see how it looks really cloudy? That's not a printing error. That is literally poop.
Oh my gosh.
So, this little girl came into the office and she was jumping on one of those trampoline parks or whatever, and she ended up falling and literally got a kink in her neck. And was really sore, couldn't move her neck very well. Came in, did a history and stuff, did a full x-ray of her spine just to see what's going on, and this is what we saw. And when we asked her parents about it, they're like, I don't think so. We don't really have any complaints of constipation or anything. Adjusted her, and mom literally said, right after her adjustment, she was in there for a long time. Under the bathroom.
Everything was flowing there.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So that's actually something a lot of people come in with common complaints, right? Low back pain, neck pain, headaches, things like that. But one of the first things that we hear all the time is, hey doc, my digestion's better. I'm able to go to the bathroom regularly. Or I'm sleeping better. I'm moving better. I can turn my head when I'm driving. It's those things that people notice first before their main complaint ever goes away. Alright, so this fun one, I just wanted you to see, I highlighted all the different vertebrae in your spine that deals with digestion. There's over 16. So you have 24 movable joints, and your coccyx, so 25. And over 16 of them deal with digestion in your body.
24 months.
Yeah, 24. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, I think we talked about that, but any of you, if you're not a patient here and you want to get checked, we will do an x-ray for free on us to just see what's going on. If you have any friends or family that you're thinking of that you would like to get checked out, we'll do the same thing for them, just to be able to help them. Okay? Alright, so now we've talked a lot about the nuts and bolts. Now we're going to get to a little bit more practical, and then we're going to leave some time for questioning at the end, okay? So let's start with water. That's the next fill in the blank. Actually, the next two. Water. Water is very, very important. We are over 80% water in our body. We are electrical beings. We need water, not just for hydration and stuff, but literally for our nutrients to be absorbed, to work, to help with removal of waste. So a really great rule of thumb, first thing when you wake up, drink 1 to 2 glasses of room temperature water. So you just set it out the night before, you wake up, swallow. That's literally what I do every morning. If you want, you can add just a pinch of salt in there to just get some electrolytes as well. But you're starting that digestion system. You're warming up that engine for your day. Yes? Yeah.
What's that to keep room temperature?
So cold water, hot or cold water, temperature changes quickly, will slow your digestion down dramatically. So if it's room temperature, your body doesn't have to do much. Basically, our body is very controlled on temperature because temperature really affects a lot of the chemical reactions. And digestion is all chemical reactions. And so your stomach won't let things through until it's really the temperature that digestion can occur. And so if you have a lot of hot or a lot of cold, it's just going to alter your digestion time. And one of the biggest benefit of this is it primes the engine. It primes and flushes the engine. So it says, hey, here's some things, it turns things on, and then when you do have calories, it's ready to go, and then it's also flushing what's left of the engine.
And something to think about too is chewing and digesting food and things that are colder, just in general, are going to take a bit longer for our body to process and break down, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but we want to give it the environments to be able to do that. Sometimes when we're in more of a healing place, maybe you had surgery or you just had a baby or things like that, sometimes a little bit warmer or a little bit more processed, like a soup or something like that, is a little easier for our body to digest and absorb some of that because already in a state where we need a little bit more of a boost. All right, the next thing is we want to crowd out the bad stuff. So I'm not saying you can't have.
I like chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah, I love chocolate
I like
chip
coffee.
cookies. Yeah. But you want to crowd it out with a bunch of good stuff, right? So you can have that chocolate chip cookie, but you also want to make sure, like, hey, I got a bunch of fruits and veggies in, and I got some good meat and all that stuff. So you're having a nice balance of everything, not like I sat down and ate a whole cake from a meat. I'm not saying any of you got that. But some simple ways to do that, right? You want to plan ahead, meal prep if you can. Try to limit snacking. A really good rule of thumb is try to think about eating 10 servings of fruit or vegetables a day. I actually did a study. If you do that, you can reduce premature death by 31%.
Wow.
Another one, okay, we're going on the next page, is what is your body telling you, right? So we're learning about how do you become more aware of what your body's telling you with what you're eating, or what you want to eat. Okay, so chocolate cravings is really your body saying, I need more magnesium. Okay, and for each of these, there's ideas of some things that you can do to supplement in different ways. So when we're craving salty things, we need electrolytes. Yes, because you're not drinking water.
After all day, I was snacking on the chips from Chipotle. That was so salty, so good.
Sugar cravings. So this one's interesting. It's actually that we need a little boost with our blood sugar support, and so when we're having sugar cravings, it's because we're spiking up and down. A really easy thing to do is adding in some spices like cinnamon or clove, even pumpkin spices to things like your coffee or your yogurt, and that's going to help keep your blood sugar a little bit more regulated and stable instead of these up and down spikes. When we're craving, yes, dear.
So what's the answer to this one?
I'm sorry, blood sugar control.
The long one.
Yeah.
It needs to be a little longer.
So red meat cravings is iron. I'm not a huge organ meat fan. I've tried them all, thanks to my husband. Not a huge fan of them. But there are some really good supplements if you don't necessarily like eating organ meat. But iron is a really good, a lot of women use a lot of iron. Fried foods, really you're craving some more healthier fats. Your body is craving fat, but we want to switch it to a healthy fat. Go into a lot of things, but healthy fats actually help our brain and a lot of our body. More fried foods, actually those fats actually increase inflammation in our body.
He's a good friend.
He is a great fat. I'm actually going to get to that in a couple pages. You're reading it. But we want to relax and chew, eat more slowly. We want to try to eat real food. If you're read the labels on your food that you're buying at the grocery store. If you can't pronounce something, or if that list is very long, you should not buy it probably. Just recommendation, it's way better to eat natural food than something that's processed as best as you can. Alright, so now we're going to go into the next page, which is just a ton more tips.
So one emphasis, prioritize healthy protein. A lot of people struggle with blood sugar management because their muscle mass is starting to decline as they age. Muscles move our bodies around, which is important for everything. The muscles also are our largest organ of blood sugar regulation. Besides our brain and our muscles are what are burning our sugars. And so if muscles are weakening and diminishing over time, you have less ability to really burn the fuel that's coming in, and you have less ability to regulate your blood sugar. And so what they're finding for longevity is if you're having high protein first thing in the morning, it actually triggers the muscles to maintain. versus if you have any protein deficits, your body will use your muscle to fill that. So it's just to break down your muscle to fill the food. And so, particularly for like just as everyone's getting older, it's making sure you're getting good quality protein, and the most important move for that is protein.
All right, so who has to go grocery shopping? I have to go tomorrow. Friday's grocery shop day in our house. So some rule of thumb when you're going to the grocery store to like help you implement this new idea of like how to eat my food, right? You want to shop on the outside of the grocery store as much as possible. You want to limit going down the aisles, right? And if you think about it, right, like what's on the outside? You got fruits and veggies, you got meat, dairy, cheese. That's about it, right? All the processed stuff is in the middle. Yeah. So try to look at that, and then like really like start in the the fruit and veggie section and try to fill like half of your cart before you even like leave that. Okay. And then another really great one is try to buy seasonally. Living in America, I can buy strawberries all year round. You can buy any food you want all year round. But that's not how like it actually works. So like try and look for like those seasonal sales, right? Like right now peaches are in season. So try to buy peaches when they're in season. And different things like that, because then you're just introducing like those different colors, those good different nutrients, changing things up in our diet. Like we don't want to necessarily eat the same things all the time. I know we like to, and it's easy, but our body and our brain is super, super smart, and it will start getting all of those nutrients, but not having to use them all. And so if you eat the same thing or you do the same thing all the time, you will slowly actually start gaining weight, because your body is really smart, your brain's really smart, and it's going to figure out how to get more nutrients out of it, but have to expend less of them. So changing it up, changing your diet, eating seasonally, can just keep your brain guessing what you're doing. We already talked about read the food labels, and then like something really great and like a very necessary skill is like get the family involved with cooking, right? Like teach your kids, teach your grandkids how to cook. Cook as a family together, because that's going to help slow everything down too. We're going to sit down and have a meal together. Just bringing that culture back of like that social connection. So this simple graph talks about, there's the clean 15 and the dirty dozen. Really, this is the breakdown of like, the clean 15 is you can buy any of those in the grocery store. It doesn't matter if it's organic or not. They have less pesticides, they have thicker skin, like it doesn't really matter if you buy it organic. But the dirty dozen, those have thinner skins or they have the most chemicals put on them. So if you can, try to buy those ones organic.
I had read that I think of beetroots, if you don't buy them organic, they have all the vitamins like on the stem, but that has like the most pesticides if you buy them organic.
That makes sense, because beets normally are in the ground.
Yeah.
So the stems are getting, the leaves are getting all of that. This gray box is just some good things to add into our diet whenever we can. They're superfoods that just are good for our brain, they help reduce stress, they're good for our immunity as well. And then this table over here is like some nice switches for things. So instead of dairy, if we want to cut out dairy, we can add in, if we really want dairy, like try to add in like grass-fed, like milk or yogurt or whatever, but also like doing like grass-fed butter, ghee is a great one. You can even switch things out for like, coconut milk or almond milk. You want to try to really reduce the amount of gums that are in them, because those can be inflammatory sometimes to the body. So, trying to think of some other good ones. Oh, a really easy one, which I have implemented, is like for sugar. So there's white sugar, high fructose corn syrup, which is basically in everything. Artificial sweeteners, but just switch it for like raw honey or real maple syrup, not fake maple syrup, which is like corn syrup, but real maple syrup. So for me, like, I love my coffee in the morning, and so what I do is I put some maple syrup in it to sweeten it instead of doing sugar or a cream one. Yep. But yeah, these are really great ones, like just some ideas of like things you can replace. Okay. And then the last couple ones, we got some fun little recipes on there for you guys. And then I'll let you finish off with that.
Cool. I get to do the other helpful tools because I get to do this to my family. This is what happens. Yeah, I have subjected my family to garlic juice and to all kinds of other stuff. So, yes, garlic. So garlic is extremely potent for a lot of things, and I have a juicer, and so you put garlic through your juicer. Not just garlic juice, but there's lots of other things. But a little sliver of garlic, you like start smelling of garlic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So other tools. Okay. So fasting. So talking a little bit about that. So total fasting and intermittent fasting. So intermittent fasting is our body's designed to have digestive breaks, and our modern day culture is like, I'm gonna eat a snack, I'm gonna eat dinner, and really there's never a lot of time between meals. Or like every time you're putting calories in your mouth. And so intermittent fasting is like step one, just stretching that out. And what you're asking your body to do is stabilize my blood sugar for this period of time. If you never ask your body to do it, it's not going to develop the strength or capability to do it. It's going to lose the ability. And so that's where we start to lose our blood sugar control when we're always depending on food to regulate our blood sugar. We just start to lose that. Okay? And so intermittent fasting is like step one. Okay? And then total fasting. So total fasting means you're still drinking water, and you're essentially just having no calories. And so a total fast is water, black coffee, sparkling water, and that's about it. All right? I do a fast every year, anywhere from 3 to 5 days. I do it for a lot of different reasons. Some of them digestion. Your digestive system is always working, and it is under always like a lot of pressure. And anytime you get an injury, it's like trying to heal and work at the same time. And that's how leaky gut can start to happen, because you get kind of like you get some sort of bacterial infection or something happens, and you see, and your gut just doesn't have the time it needs. And so a total fast actually lets your gut lining repair. Okay? It also resets your palate. We've been programmed to have sweets, and so we get really accustomed in our palate to sweet. And so when you taste sweets and then you start to lose your sensitivity to it and you want more of it, you need more sweet to fill it. And that's how it gets a really, really drug effect. And so to reset your palate, you can actually fast. And so now there's ways that you can fast. Say you can do like a juice fast or Zetos fast where you just take out certain things. That can also help reset your palate. But a total fast will really reset your palate. And then at that point in time, when you have something that's even like a red pepper or something, that can start to taste really sweet to you again. And then you develop your full palate. Okay? So I love fasting. And if you have questions about personal things or afterwards, we can talk about that as well too. There are lots of cleanses for your liver. There's a lot of theories on disease building up around a certain time period in adults based off liver and gallbladder. Your liver and gallbladder are detoxifying your body, and then your gallbladder is storing a lot of those things. And it does that for a long time, and eventually it can kind of fill up. And then you can't detoxify anymore. And so there's a lot of interesting things you look at when people get chronic lifestyle disease. And then you start to look at their liver. They also start to get fatty liver around the same time. They start to get gallbladder around the same time. And so there are liver and gallbladder cleanses that are essentially triggering your body to cleanse and detoxify your liver. And so if you just Google liver and gallbladder cleanse, you'll get answers about that.
A good analogy to think about is like going back to that engine analogy is like it's like an oil change, right? You're changing out the filter because your liver and gallbladder are filtering everything that you have to digest. So since you're cleaning out that filter, you're going to make it all clean so that it can continue to
And then the last one is this introducing change. Dr. Ashley started talking about this. This was programmed into us before because seasons would change. And so we would change what we're eating. And so now we start to eat the same thing over again. And then something she didn't talk about is we have metabolic adaptation. So we get more calories from the same food because we get more efficient at digesting it. But then we also get more efficient at our movement. And so if we're doing the same movements every day, if you're doing the same workouts, or if you're doing the same like activity, your body gets more and more efficient at that. And so then it expends less calories. And so now you're getting more calories and expending less calories, and that's why if you do nothing, you will gain weight. So that's why you need to change your diet periodically, you need to change your activity, like what you're doing, just to create adaptation and change in your body. And it's just good for resetting, and when you do the same things, it creates wear and tear physically. So it's just good to introduce change, and you can do that with seasons, because that's how it was meant to be. Okay? Cool. And so that is, there's content throughout this whole book, so read through that. I have supplements for all on here as well too, because that's just helpful. But then we wanted to leave some time at the end for questions, because diet is a super specific thing for people, and we can't answer every question by going over, or we'd be here for days. But what specific questions do you have about food? And then something I want to encourage you all tonight is to answer this, okay? What habits can I add, or what habits do I need to remove to improve my digestive health and better fuel my body while reducing my toxic exposures and bad habits to improve my overall body's performance? Okay? We eat for resources, connection to fuel, and we eat to perform. And so just ask yourself that question and just see what your body comes up with. Okay? Because you have that intelligence in your body trying to guide you, you just want to give it a chance to speak. And then you can.